Welcome to our food business briefing. In the next 30 minutes, we are talking about the digitization in the dairy industry. And more specifically, as you can already see on the slide, our experts will explain how dairies can optimize themselves through digital and integrated processes. But of course, we will not only show it in theory. This will be the first part of our webinar, but then also in practice, because our experts will explain different best practice examples from dairies who have already optimized and digitized their processes. And yes, this is only a short overview for you at the beginning, what you can expect today. And now I also would say some words about CSB at the beginning. CSB is a family-run company with more than 600 employees. And CSB is the industry IT specialist for the dairy industry with its headquarters in Geilenkirchen. It's in the western part of Germany, and you can see it on the slide. CSB is not only in Germany on the market, but also internationally, and with more than 40 regional organizations. CSB has implemented by now more than 1,200 installations in 50 countries. Yes, and on this slide, you can already see our two experts today, Mathew Simpson and Jorn Ballas. You can also see them in the webcam already. And yes, they will explain us today, the digitization and automation in the dairy industry. And they both have lots of experiences in this area. And yes, at this point, I also would like to hand over the word directly to you, Mathew and Jorn. And I hope you enjoy our webinar today.
Thank you very much, Eva. And also a very warm welcome from my side. Thank you for tuning into our webinar. My name is Jorn Ballas. I've been at CSB-System for over 6 years now, involved in many projects, digitizing and automating companies within the food and beverage industry. And of course, today we are going to talk about more detailed for the dairy industry.
Jorn, thanks very much. So I'm Mathew Simpson. I'm responsible for sales in the UK and Ireland for CSB, where I've been for 5 years now. Prior to that, I was in food manufacturing for 20 years, much of that time in the canning industry. And so let's dive into the presentation now. Oh, I've gone forwards by 2 slides, I think there. So the dairy industry is under a lot of pressure, facing challenges, some of which unprecedented, many of which, though, have actually been with us for a long time. Number one, I think, for all of these businesses is the need to improve the contribution to margins and profit, and to optimize production costs. And you're seeing the stress of that all the time with larger companies buying smaller companies. So there's rationalization going on in the industry as a result of those competitive pressures on costs. Competitiveness in export markets is also increasing, particularly for us here in the UK after Brexit, not so helpful. And we have an increase in customer-orientated manufacturing. And so this is a situation where the supermarkets are now so powerful that they're developing their own brands, and they make it rather harder for the owners of private brands to get the space on the shelves. And if you think about supermarket product developers, they come in and have perhaps 2 or 3 years in category before they move on to another category. And what this does is it drives change continuously in product development. And so the product developments may be only small changes, but you have to redevelop labels and processes, and that also drives a need for data and the management of that data. Milk planning and management, of course, the supply of raw material has always fluctuated, and the price more so, I think, and that's always been a difficult thing to deal with, but it's as difficult now as it ever was. And so we have a situation where a lot of dairies are digitizing in order to meet the demands from customers and regulators to supply information, but also to make themselves more efficient. But for a dairy company, of course, digitization is not your core specialist area. And so that presents a challenge in itself, in fact. So we had a look at the Strategy 2030 of the German Dairy Industry Organization to see what they were thinking. And they're saying that the current state of affairs is that really there is minimal exchange of data, and that much of this data has focused on traceability from the point of sale back to the milk producer. And of course, that's to meet regulations quite rightly and properly. But they believe we need to develop a better and digitized exchange of data up and down that supply chain, collecting the data at the right place at the right time. And they're examining a concept from GS1 to build a template for capturing this data in a unified way up and down the chain across the German dairy industry. But the challenges are the same throughout the world and here in the UK. So let's have a look at some of the technical parts of this digitization. What does the data exchange look like? Well, we have a pyramid here which describes various layers and levels of data capture and data usage. At the bottom of that, we have the machine PLC chips that are telling the machine what to do and can also be gathering data about what's happening. And above that, we have process control systems, and then computer integrated manufacturing systems, which may be linked to a manufacturing execution system on top of that. Typically, an ERP system would sit on top of all of that, where you might do production planning and recipe management. And then you'd have financial accounting and customer relationship management systems. And at the very top there, you might have a business intelligence system to help you actually steer the business and gather up all of the information and present, for example, your sales and margin figures and yield figures. But what we find very often is that those layers of data capture and data management are not very well linked up. And not all vendors are able actually to link up each of those layers, but CSB is able actually to integrate all of those layers of information into our one system, and that means it's easier to operate and more efficient. So joining up those layers and joining up the different parts of your supply chain are absolutely key to becoming more efficient. You want to make decisions based on reliable real-time information. So anybody who's operated a paper system like me knows that it's often hours, if not a day, behind the actual events that you're recording. Sometimes you can be recording something on paper with a clipboard. You might have to key it into a system later on, and that's a double work, but it's also a further delay. So if you can have electronic real-time information, that really helps you to make better decisions. You need to become more effective at making those decisions in order to reduce your production costs, of course. And absolutely key for any dairy operator is compliance with quality and traceability standards. There's a lot of information relating to microbiological testing or heat processing if you're pasteurizing, which is absolutely essential to manage properly. You can enhance your flexibility, and you need to and must do that through better production planning. And likewise, production planning is key to optimizing raw material management, which can help you to manage fluctuations in market prices and flows. And so the integrated digitization of these processes in production and information about sales orders and yields is all locked together in one system, and that helps you to be more effective and more efficient as a business. And so I think at this stage I am going to hand over to my colleague Jorn, who will explain a little bit more about this. Jorn.
Thank you, Matthew. Yeah, one of the things that Matthew mentioned just before is really important, capturing data at the point where an actual movement of goods takes place. Not like Matthew mentioned, writing it down on a clipboard, then walking back to the office and keying it into a system, which causes a delay, so you don't have real-time information. But B, it's manual work and therefore also the possibility for error. Looking at how to really optimize your shop floor, we can look at this from two different perspectives. One, a greenfield project where you have a blank piece of land where you can build a factory from the ground up exactly the way you want it, or a brownfield project where you have an existing factory where you're adding on or changing the factory to optimize your processes. One of the big suggestions we have for companies in such a stage, looking at digitization, automation, at Industry 4.0 as it's often called, is to take on the automator, so the company that will assist you with your processes, automating and digitizing them in the early stages, in the planning stages, where you can already define where you want to capture your data within the process to actually achieve that real-time information and limit the errors. If you do that, and then of course when the entire project is done, you're actually able to visualize your production and packing, your movement of goods within the factory. So managing that data, taking a look at your KPIs, your performance, where are my bottlenecks or malfunctions, and where do I have to improve? If we look at the solution portfolio that we could offer to realize this type of automation and digitization, we see this overview here, and the first two blocks are well-known software modules to people that have worked with an ERP system before, so I'm not going to elaborate too much on them. Very interesting is when we get to the third block, the execution and manufacturing software, where you actually start to connect with your machines, with your production lines, where you actually define where you captured the data within the process to an optimized way. If we move to the fourth block, it gets even more interesting. And that's the category where we actually go towards an Industry 4.0, where you can completely digitize your factory and automate it, all the way up to what some people like to call the lights out factory, where you do not necessarily need people to assist the process, where it's automated to the max. And we have a sister company in Switzerland called CSB Automation. And their main focus is to actually analyze processes and write concepts for how to automate in the best way, of course, together with the customer, looking at the possibilities, whether it's brownfield or a greenfield project, and really looking into the details. And the final block, of course, are services. We bring a lot of experience. We have a lot of experienced consultants from the industry. So not only IT specialists, but also food and beverage, so also dairy process specialists who come to analyze your processes and help with the implementation of the solutions. We have our own CSB college for user training. Training the key users is very important to maintain a certain level of knowledge of the system, how to operate it, but also how to optimize it even further in the future once new challenges arise. Of course, we have 24/7 support, and we have our own cloud center here in the headquarters in Geilenkirchen. As Eva mentioned before, the CSB-System is a worldwide operating company, and we see a map of the world here with where in the dark blue areas we have CSB partner offices and installations, and in the light blue areas we have installations, and then of course the colleagues from the nearest dark blue area will assist those customers in those regions. Then we've talked a little bit about the theory now, and we would like to switch over to the practice. How did we actually implement these solutions? How did we solve those challenges for several of our customers? And I would like to hand the word back to Mathew to take us into detail.
Jorn, thanks very much for that technical overview of CSB. So you can see there on that slide a lot of dairy customers of CSB, and we don't have time here to delve into all of them, but we'd be happy if you're interested and want to get in touch afterwards to talk to you about any of these companies. What we're going to do now is look at the top three. That's Kendall Nutricare, Berchtesgadenerland and Suga. So first to Kendall Nutricare, a customer of mine based in the English Lake District, lovely part of the world, but it's long been a dairy location because they're very good at growing grass there, and so Kendall is the only independent manufacturer of infant formula in the UK. They have a sales of around 20 million, and they're employing about 140 people right now. They had a big trade with China, and they've also been really developing their product within the UK major multiples, the big supermarkets. They do organic product, and it's a whole milk product. So as I mentioned before, it's absolutely key for their China export accreditation that they have the data and the systems in place to verify and to prove that what they're doing is meets the standards. But of course, that's absolutely vital for sales in any market, particularly in this sector. The infant formula sector is very tightly managed, as you might well imagine. And so they have in place a system which covers the whole business and production process, right from procurement through sales and production, and EDI. They have quality assurance in place, and they have mobile ERP, MERP. And this project,
if you don't mind me asking, you say mobile ERP. I see a picture here of the factory of some production lines. Could you elaborate a little bit more on how the mobile ERP is applied here in this setting?
Sure, yeah. So what you can see here is a bulk mixing area, and the input to these machines is large bulk containers of product, of dried product. And so what they're able to do is use mobile handheld scanners to scan the input ingredients actually in the warehouse as and when they move them. And so it's about moving that transaction to where it's actually happening. So they don't need to move that bulk container past a fixed station. They can go up to it, scan it, and transact the movement from the warehouse into the blending area. And so that gives them a greater flexibility in the way that they're manufacturing and greater convenience. And as we were talking about before, it allows them to record in real time a movement, a transaction, or a process as it happens, and not afterwards. And so that's very helpful to them, of course. They're also making heavy use, I know, of the QC module, in particular in the way that they're managing the test data that they have to do on microbiology and the nutritional content of what they produce. So they're generating data per batch every day, and test samples have to go off to the lab for testing, and all of that information has, of course, to be managed and recorded and retrievable. So there's a little flavour of Kendall NutriCare. We go on now to have a look at Berchtesgadener Land in Germany, who are founded in 1927, and they've got a significant turnover now of 253 million, employing about 480 people, making yogurt and quark. And let's have a little look at some of the highlights there. Have a look at the box on the bottom there. Those are the modules in place from CSB. Quite a long list there: production, procurement, sales. I won't read out the whole thing, but they've got everything. Really, the whole business is covered there, from fresh supply through production and technical integration of the machines. And so this is the part where we're connecting to machines and are able to steer them. For example,
if we compare this customer to the other dairy customers, what's really the thing that sets this one apart? What's so special about them?
Berchtesgadener Land are highly integrated. This is a place where other customers want to get to. So right from the arrival of the raw milk, they're able to weigh and capture that information and process a payment to the supplier almost immediately as they receive that milk, and that goes right down to controlling production lines through our production touch functionality, which means that you can actually actuate the machine from CSB and automatically capture data back from it as well. So in real time, as pots of finished product are coming off the line, a count is iterating up in that machine, and you have your production output count there directly without the need even to enter into the computer what that count is. And so this is really a shining example for us, and it's a place where I think all dairy businesses would like to get to. And so we'd be happy to elaborate on that, as I said before, if you're interested to get in touch. So let's have a look at Zuger. They are based in Switzerland, and they're making soft cheeses. Quite a new business, only established 1998, but turning over 177 million already, with 280 employees. They've had CSB for a long time, and they work very hard to use our digitalized data capture and management processes and avoid using the paper-based systems. We've got a very good promotional film about Zuger where you can see inside the factory and some of the transactions that are going on, and I like it. There's a little poster in the background that says something along the lines of milk, butter, but no paper. Kein Papier, you can see in the background. That's a little mantra of theirs. They try to get the paper-based recording of information out of their process. So there's a little shot of a line there, which you can see in the film as well. Actually, they've got in place also quite a full suite of ERP modules that you can see in the box at the bottom of the slide there. And that means they're able to visualize, to portray their complex process in real time, even though they do a lot of small batches as well. They can do a better coverage planning because they have the data available to do that in real time. They know where the work in progress is and where it's up to, and they also know what their sales orders are and what's on order to come into the factory. And this means that they've been able to really reduce their error rates throughout the factory, really.
Talking about error rates, Matthew, I see quite a statement there on the slide: 50% time saving, minimize error rates in picking.
Yeah, so this relates to the actual finished product picking in the warehouse. And so you can imagine what anybody who's operated such a system knows, that if you have to print from your ERP or your financial accounting software an order which you've got, and take it down in your hands to the warehouse and start looking for things and physically taking them down, crossing off the list with a pencil, and then you hand the piece of paper back to somebody else in the office and they have to key in what you picked, and hopefully it all matches up. But you can see that there are 3 steps in there which can be quite eliminated by having a mobile picking system which displays the order in the mobile picking unit. And then as you pick, you scan and you take it off the shelf, and directly that custom order is picked, then you generate the delivery note and indeed the invoice. And so they've been able to, really to make a saving of 50% in that process in the warehouse. And if you can imagine that you're employing 5 or more people picking finished products, that's a really significant and measurable saving. But not to be underestimated also is the reduction in the error rate. Errors are costly. They cost you reputation if you deliver the wrong product. People don't like that. Very often supermarkets will reject it. They can fine you for not delivering what you should have delivered in the first place, or even in the worst case scenario, make you actually pay for a loss of sale if your product goes off the shelf. And then furthermore, you have to process a reverse transaction and then go and pick the product again. So the avoidance of error and getting it right first time is not to be underestimated. It's very important, and it's much easier to do if you have a digitized mobile system that you can move around the warehouse and do this with directly. And I urge you to watch the video. It's great. You can see the guy going down the warehouse and picking as he goes. And so that's 3 of our highly digitized dairy business customers. I hope that's been of interest. I will pass back over to Jorn here, who will summarize some of the benefits that we've seen with our customers.
Thank you very much, Matthew, for this very interesting switch from theory to practice on how we actually manage to, for example, that last one, save up to 50% cost and time for a customer at a certain process. That's very interesting. And of course, this is just the first general bit of information, and if someone is interested, we would be happy to go into further detail on how exactly this was achieved. If we look at the entire chain of what we saw today, the challenges the industry faces, the goals that each company has to improve in certain aspects, what benefit does that bring us? We've seen the theory, we've seen the practice. Of course, you need optimal transparency, not only because you want real-time data to find out where your bottlenecks are or where you're actually performing really well, but also because of traceability, not only for legal reasons, but also, as Matthew explained, as desired by the customer, the retailers, who have very strict rules on that. You want to enhance the quality of your product, and if the system can help you really show you where you can improve, if you capture the data where it should be captured, you can actually increase your efficiency. That starts in a very global and basic way, but you can optimize all the way through, as we saw in the examples, to completely optimized factory, including line control, where you see your OEE numbers. We've seen the challenges, we've seen what we want to achieve, we've seen real world examples of where we have already achieved a lot of those things, and we see what it can bring you. As I said before, this was a first general introduction into the subject from our point of view, and we would be very interested in sitting down with you, talking more in detail about the challenges you face, about the goals you want to achieve, and what solutions CSB might be able to offer for those. So from my side, I would like to thank you very much for watching today. And if you have any additional questions, if you want to analyze your processes with us on how to optimize them further, please get in touch with us. Thank you.
Jorn, thanks very much.